Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Sisters podcast. This is Gabrielle Celeste. Welcome to another episode. You guys, I know I say this every episode, but I'm really excited about this one because it feels very special. We're so excited today to welcome Will Rodriguez and Karen Endsley of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. And they are also the leaders of the NewReality TV Network, co-host and husband and wife, which we'll get into. Will and Karen truly embody what it means to have an open mind and open heart. And they aren't afraid to get deep about metaphysical mysteries, all while bringing a sense of humor, humanity, and a healthy dose of wait, what? And born from an existential breakdown, I'm totally getting into this one too. The show dives headfirst into the wild world of spiritual awakenings, energy healing, consciousness expansion, near-death experiences, psychic phenomena, manifestation, mysticism, and beyond. Will brings the wide-eyed curiosity of a seeker reawakened. We're diving deep with that one for sure. While Karen, very psychic herself, balances the vibe with grounded intuition, thoughtful insights, and just the right amount of side-eye. Together, they create a safe space for exploring the woo without losing your grip on the real, which is so, so important. Will and Karen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We're excited to be here.
Oh, I'm super excited for this interview. We're doing, I'm on their show, they're on our show. You guys will have in the show notes to check out both episodes and where you can find them and all of their work. But it's interesting because both of you were so kind to provide me with your birth information. And I was kind of like, wait, is this like soul fam vibes? Because, Will, your chart it's very intuitive. And then Karen, your chart, I just pulled it up. I was like, our girl's a triple water sign, like Gabrielle Celeste over here. So I was just like, oh, there's a lot to unpack there. But before we get into just how you both came into this work, how your businesses, your community all was born, and the background that you have that kind of pushed you into this, because it feels like there was a seamless blend of it. At least that's kind of what I've picked up in doing my research. We like to play this fun little game where we get to know our guests a little bit better. And yeah, it's just kind of rapid fire. So are you ready for said questions?
Sorry, I should have warned you, Karen.
Okay. So, Will and Karen, would you be so kind as to both share your big three in astrology?
Ladies first.
No, you go first.
I am a Gemini sun and a Libra rising and moon.
We're going to talk about that.
and I literally just found mine out. So Cancer sun, correct? Something, and an ascendant Scorpio.
Yeah.
Pisces. Pisces was the middle one.
The ascendant, yes.
Oh, I thought Scorpio was it.
No, that was the moon.
Oh, that was the moon? Okay. Yes,
so Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, the depth there. I love that. And also I love, because Will, you're a very air dominant person, and then you have the water that Karen, you bring to the table. So I'm like, how does that work? Like I kind of love that. You don't really see that often.
She just called me an airhead.
I think so.
I think so, right? Yeah.
No.
And I'm the storm. No.
How does it work? That's an interesting question. I think it's a karmic thing. Like we were fated to be together, no matter what our signs were. But my airiness is actually somehow grounded in my other planets. Somewhere must have grounded me, because I'm not a true Gemini in the sense of the word. At least I don't find myself to be. I am.
This is a side eye.
In certain respects, I am a Gemini, but I feel the Libra more, because I do tend to try to bring a sense of balance in everything I do.
Yeah. And you have the moon in the first house conjunct your ascendant, which I have that same placement, but it's in Pisces. So I feel like I understand like you both in that regard for the emotional and the psyche aspect and that side of astrology. Because the moon on the ascendant is very intuitive. It's very psychic. And a Pisces moon, which you have, Karen, is one of the most psychic moons you can have. So it's almost like I completely agree with the fatedness and like, oh, you guys have probably had many past lives together. If you believe in that sort of thing, which my sense is you might. Yeah.
We do. Yeah, we do. Yeah, and we agree. We feel that way.
And the first thing that came to my mind when you said how does it work? You know, if you're talking about air and water, I mean, that's kind of how the planet works. It just works together. They have to be together, I think.
Yeah.
You know, water evaporates in the air and it comes down. It's all a cycle. And I think our relationship is a lot like that as well.
See, she's a smart one.
Beautiful. Oh, you both are very intelligent. Don't shortchange yourself.
I just have a different perspective.
I'm just the eye candy.
The eye candy. Well, you're both, my love. You're both.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so moving on to your human design, what is the makeup that you both individually have?
So I'm a reflector.
Super rare.
Is that what? Okay, I was saying, is that what you're asking? Yep. So I'm new to certain things. So we've been doing these interviews for several years, and there's things that he's a little more kind of entrenched in, things I'm more entrenched in. So astrology, human design, that's something that I know less about. So if I'm seeming hesitant with these answers, it's because I don't want to misspeak, and I'm less familiar, really, with the ins and outs and all of that of these two topics.
Yeah,
but I know I'm a reflector, and I know there's not a lot of us.
There's not a lot of you, and you're also a 3-5 reflector, which I would be so happy to share any feedback if you're interested. But Will, I want to hear what yours is as well.
I'm apparently a generator.
Yeah.
And human design is not something I'm very familiar with. Astrology, I am very familiar with. Human design is new to me, and hearing that I'm a generator surprised me. I thought I was a projector, but apparently not.
Yeah. Okay. So in my studies of human design, so you are a 4-6 sacral generator, and I actually have the exact same profile makeup in that regard.
Oh, wow.
So it's like all about building community and networks, and like your referrals are people that like someone who knows someone, and it just kind of seamlessly comes together. And with the generator, it's like the energy resets every single day, and you have to really be lit up for what you're doing in order to have the energy to show up for it. And it's like you almost get like a full body yes, and it's like you're excited by it to know that what you're going after is in alignment. So
the flip side is the problem. When I'm not really that interested in anything, I don't have the energy to do it. I just can't see myself doing it. I can't get myself to do it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Karen, with the 3-5, you're a 3-5 reflector. So with the way in which you make conscious decisions, it's almost like you have to sit on it for like a month. It's a whole lunar cycle. And the 3-5, it's just like marching to the beat of their own drum. And they're meant to not necessarily walk the conventional, traditional path. They're very much meant to do their own thing. But the challenge with being a reflector is that you're so innately intuitive and you're so sensitive to any environment. I think unconsciously what can happen is that people project their shit onto you, but it's because you are so psychic and you can pick up those subtle references energetically that you almost see more than they see of themselves, depending on who you're interacting with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that's not like you at all. I'm giving a side eye now.
I know, right?
Oh, so cool. Well, it sounds like you two are a match made in heaven.
Quite literally.
Yeah, truly.
Did I mention she's an angel?
Aww, I love that.
Yeah.
So we'll get into how you two met, because I want to hear that background and who had their awakening first and all the things. But before we get there, the additional 3 remaining questions. What types of audiobooks, podcasts, what are you consuming? Because you two are, one, very captivating. And if our audience members haven't picked that up and listening thus far, I'm very surprised. And you do also have a background in TV and broadcasting. So I'm very interested specifically with this question.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading War and Peace right now, and I'm very entrenched in the spirituality media, for lack of a better term. I read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts. The big awakening book, the big one for me, was Conversations with God. That's what really started everything for me. Currently, I'm reading a book by Radley Valentine. I'm also reading a book by Rhonda Burns, who created the original author of The Secret. I'm reading her follow-up book. So I'm always reading like 2 or 3 books at the same time. And then in terms of podcasts, I listen to all the big ones, right? The Sense of Souls, or the Next Level Souls, the Spiritual Sisters, that kind of stuff.
Thanks for the plug. I love that. How about you, Karen?
So one of the books that really affected me probably the most, and it's a book I don't know how many times I've read it and reread it. It's Richard Bach, and he's, I guess, most famous for Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I think that's one of his big ones. But the one that really resonated with me was Illusions.
Okay.
And it's essentially, it's a quick read. You can read it in a day. It's like a little, but I don't know, 150 pages or something, but they're small.
Yeah.
But it's essentially about this pilot. He's a biplane biplane pilot, and he's kind of, not really happy with his life. And he happens upon this other biplane pilot, and they start to kind of fly together. And he realizes this guy's plane comes down and there's never any bugs on it. It never needs gas, and like all this weird stuff. And as the book progresses, and I'm spoiler alert here, you realize that
you don't want to spoil it.
I do.
Oh, okay.
That this guy that he's talking to, because this explains a lot of things.
Okay.
This guy that he's talking to was actually the Messiah.
Oh,
but
okay.
He didn't want to be the Messiah anymore, so he quit.
Right.
Do we get that option? Can we rewrite soul contracts like that? Asking for a friend.
Right? And I think what I liked so much about that book, I mean, some of the messages are incredible. One of the phrases that stuck with me also is what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls the butterfly. And so things like that just are such a different way in looking at things. And maybe that is the whole kind of other side of being the reflector, where, that walking my own path. I have a harder time reading sort of self-help books, and because I know everyone's path and everyone's way is so uniquely different. And I probably should read more books like that. I have started reading the Surrender Experiment, but I struggle with that just because I have always kind of walked my own way. And so I don't know that someone who's not been in my shoes could tell me how my path needs to be. I'm not saying that those books aren't fantastic, and they are incredible tools for anybody who reads them. I struggle with that.
Yep.
Is she a reflector in human beings?
What? Yeah. Comes as a total shock to me.
Yeah. You know what? I really love what you just shared, though, because that's almost like it tells me that you've given yourself permission to do things differently. And not everyone arrives at that place in their life and gives themselves literally the permission to do things differently. So yeah, I guess I've never really thought of it in that way. It's like, yeah, they're helpful, but it's like my path is my own path and it's unique and it's not going to look the same as everyone else's. And I think younger me would have really appreciated hearing that maybe like 15 years ago.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if you've not heard of Richard Bach, his books are pretty. I mean, he's got besides Illusions, he wrote one.
And was it the Bridge Across Forever?
Bridge Across Forever. Both books that are just
they're fantastic.
They are not elusive, but they are surprising. There's a term I'm trying to, but my age is making me forget words. But it is it's very very surprising how insightful they are.
Yeah.
As small as they are, it's really great. It's a great series. He's a great writer.
Well, the different times I've read it, Illusions at least, it's been different for me every time because I've been in different times of my life. I've been having different experiences, so I'm interpreting it differently.
Yeah, a similar book to that I've heard was the Alchemist. Supposedly does that to folks. People read it at different times of their lives, and they get totally different things out of it. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I've not read, I've read The Alchemist, but the other mentions I've not, I've not read those, but I'm going to have to look into them because it sounds like there's a wealth of wisdom there.
Oh boy.
I wish I could mail you. So for a while, I would mail my copy out. I mailed it to England to a friend. She read it, sent it back. It was in Ecuador. I got that back. But now it's just so falling apart because I thought, what a cool book club when if it's the same book and you send it.
Yeah.
It's like the sisterhood
falling apart
of the traveling pants. But book version.
Right. It's so tattered. I don't think it would make the trip.
Now I'm like, it's too precious to me. I just kind of keep the covers off.
But if you... No, go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
If you've not heard of Conversations with God, I strongly urge you to pick it up. It is not at all what you think. In fact, I resisted reading it for a long time because it had the word God in it. Yeah. It is not at all what you think. It's not very. In fact, it's almost anti-religious. I think a lot of people have that are very religious have read it, assuming it's going to be about the God that they know, and suddenly find that it is a complete different thing. It's basically a writer whose life was falling apart, and he was so angry at God that he was writing down all these terrible things like, why would you do this to me? Why is the world this hard? Why are things so difficult? And to his surprise, he wrote down the next sentence, which was, well, do you really want to know? And so he continued writing, and apparently God, universal energies, the universe, whatever you want to call it, came through him. And he had a dialogue in writing with this energy that explained everything to him.
Yeah.
And it is incredible. It's an incredible book if you're able to be open to a different way of thinking.
Yeah. I you had mentioned something about your age, and again, you're so kind to give me your birth information, the both of you, and I'm actually, looking at both of your charts. We're going to get into it because you are in your second Saturn return, and I'll save that for, as we get further into the conversation. But I can just tell that both of you have such wisdom with respect to this space, and I just really appreciate that. And I guess that leads me into my next question is, if you had the opportunity to work with anyone living or has passed, and it would be in the context of either interviewing them, having them a part of your community. I mean, we're not going to constrict it to any which type of experience, but who would it be and why?
Oh, the Dalai Lama.
Oh, I don't think we've had that answer. So good.
Yeah, I would love to meet the Dalai Lama. I've read a couple of his books, and the books about him. But one of the things, so I read the Art of Happiness. There's the Art of Happiness in the Book of Joy, but the first one I think was the Art of Happiness. And it was at a time where, and I think we could all benefit from these words now. And it's nothing that you haven't heard before. But he said in this book, he was talking about how, when you're going to the grocery store and someone just bumps into you or cuts in front of line or, cuts you off in traffic, look at them and instead of getting pissed and saying, oh, this person's such a jerk or they're rude or they don't care, you never know what's going on in their life. If they're cutting you off in traffic, maybe they're rushing to the hospital because their son is in there dying. Or, you just never know what has happened prior to that moment. And instead of being angry at them, first be grateful that you are not in a situation that would make you behave or respond this way, and then, and be forgiving. And, I started doing that like in traffic and little by little. And now it's like, it's second nature. Like things like that don't bother me. They'll just be like, and then I let it go. And it's like, well, I'm glad I'm not that person. I'm glad I'm not whatever situation has caused them to feel so angry or to have to behave this way. So that's really, so just little pearls of wisdom and just the joy that this man has and the love and the peace. I spent some time in Tibet. And I went into the Potala, which is where the Dalai Lamas lived. And it's such a big building. They haven't even counted all of the rooms. Wow. And I went with a girlfriend of mine, and we were never one to take tours. So we just went and kind of got away from the tour. And we're just kind of walking on our own, the two of us. And there's all kinds of rooms and hallways. And there's this curtain, and this little monk kind of opens up the curtains, and he looks at us, and he goes like this. And we're like, whoa. So we go behind the curtain, and we're sitting with this monk who doesn't speak. Between the two of us, I think we've got like 6 languages, doesn't speak anything that we could even assimilate. But he breaks out this little book and he starts flipping through it, and he pulls out a picture of the Dalai Lama, which they are not legally allowed to have ever since China overtook Tibet. It's like a thing. And, we were kind of like, yeah, we know who that is, and just kind of using body language and smiling. And it was this incredible moment, this incredible connection of just love. And the only language that we had between us was this picture of the Dalai Lama. I would love to meet him.
Wow. That's
that was cool. A long answer to your question. Sorry.
That was a great answer, though. I learned so much. Will, same question.
No, I don't want to answer. I can't follow that.
Okay. All right. So I'll pass the next one on to you. And Karen, I would also love to know. So if you could attend a concert for an artist living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. Karen knows exactly who it's going to be.
I know.
It's a concert, right? We're talking music. We're not talking
true.
Spiritual,
that's
right?
True.
Hands down, the artist formerly known as Prince.
Oh.
I guess he went back to Prince at some before he died. Right?
He was Prince, yeah.
I've actually seen him 4 times, and it's the best show I've ever seen in my life. The man was an absolute musical genius. He played every instrument, and he played them on stage, not at the same time, obviously, but he showed his sheer genius every time he stepped on that stage. You can tell he loved what he was doing, and that love came across the entire audience. He loved it so much that his concerts were notoriously 3-4 hours long, and he had to be pushed out by the organizers of the concert. When I first saw him in the Hartford Civic Center in Connecticut, the owners or whatever, the administration of the Civic Center had to push him out, saying, "No, you can't come back." And he still came back after everybody was halfway out of the stadium. He still came back on and did a song from his new album. But then he's no longer with us, sadly. He would always go to a local club and, "Hey, do you mind if I jam?" And he would continue the concert at a local bar. No one knew where he would show up. It was just you were lucky enough to to find that you were at the bar that Prince decided to come play at. So you can tell he really loved it, and that love was so infectious. It's the best show I've ever seen. I've seen a lot.
That's so good. Yeah, he was so far ahead of his time. And I just want to ask before, or more, I guess, mention before I pass it on to Karen, same question. Have you gone down the Diddy rabbit hole and the whole, I don't even think it's a conspiracy theory at this point, considering his patterns, but like how he potentially could have been involved with Prince's death?
I have gone down a little bit of the rabbit hole. In this day and age, there are so many negative rabbit holes that we are being forced to consume that I took an active decision and just stopped going down the rabbit hole. So I don't think I got to the Prince thing, thank God, because I think I would have lost it. But there's just so much in there. And what upsets me the most is that a lot that is going on is not being put out there in the public. And when it does come out into the public, nothing is done about it. And so we're living in the world, sadly, as much as I hate to see it, I'm being forced to, where there's a huge divide between the people that have and the people that don't, and the people that have can do whatever they want. Now, in terms of Diddy, well, he's paying the price, but he's one of lots, sadly.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen some things with your background in broadcasting and just things that maybe due to the nature of your work, you're privy to that doesn't always get shared, which we won't get into the details of that, but I can almost imagine not everything that is being shared is entirely the full complete story. And I feel like I'm picking up what you're putting down is what I'm trying to say.
There are definitely stories that don't even make it to light at all because of commercial interests. Let's put it that way. I was privy to several of those where it inevitably forced me out of news because or even broadcast television in that sense, because I couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Karen, do you have an answer to that question?
Oh gosh, I'm torn between two. First one, the Beatles, because oh my God, the Beatles. You know, the Beatles. I don't even think I need to explain why.
Well, you said it wrong. It's the Beatles.
The Beatles.
There you go.
Beatles.
There you go. The Beatles.
And the one I'm torn between is also Tina Turner. And I was never a super huge fan when I was younger of her music, but then learning her story and re-listening to her music after knowing the severe abuse she went under and how she basically had to escape her husband, Ike, who she was, starting her music career with, and all of that to do what she's done. And then to get up on stage, a single Black divorced woman and just scream out, "This is who the bleep I am," in such an amazing, strong way that I would have loved to be able to experience that.
Yeah, she's a badass, and her and Prince so far ahead of their times and just legacies, icons, and even now they're still influencing modern day artists and also artists of future generations to come as well.
No doubt. Yep.
Love that. Okay, let's get into it. I need to know who had the awakening first. We'll start with, how did you two meet? How did you two fall in love? How does both of you actually, with the TV broadcasting backgrounds, come into this world of spirituality and do it so flawlessly? And if I could just also pay you a compliment, I might have also said this on recording for your show, but I've never come across a podcast crew that it was just so professionally and effortlessly done. Like the organization, just even like reaching out, I'm like, okay, I need to get my shit together and be more like you guys. So,
well, that's all him. I gotta give the credit.
Man, so impressed.
Well, thank you for that. I wouldn't be too impressed because it's can be detriment. You get caught up in the details, and all of a sudden you are underwater because you're trying so hard to be so perfect. I say all the time that I'm a recovering perfectionist, but Karen gives me the side eye then too, so I'm not going to say it this show.
I'm like, where's the Virgo in your chart? Looks to Virgo in the chart.
My father was a Virgo. I got it from him probably.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So how did you meet, and what was the spiritual awakening like? I need to know.
How did we meet, Will?
Do you want the story we tell people or the actual?
I mean, all of it. Like, what's the tea? But I'm like, how does that seamlessly, kind of bridge into the spiritual path that you two have? Because, and this is not true for everyone, but it seems like you two really got it right. What happens is oftentimes you're welcome. What I've seen is that some couples, at least in maybe my experience, is it's not always common to have a partner who's very supportive of the other when they go through such a serious borderline, potentially, I don't know if that was your reality, psychosis awakening. Yeah. And it can be really detrimental to marriages, and I've seen it happen. And so it just seems like you two, like match made in heaven. You guys see very similarly, but you also have that healthy dose of skepticism as well that keeps you grounded here on earth, and I'm very intrigued.
Karen likes to say that it seems like we have our acts together, like we agree on everything, but we don't. The biggest surprising thing, I think, when people get to know us is that Karen and I probably disagree on a whole lot more than people realize.
Mm-hmm. But it's the way we disagree. Yes. And that's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like, oh, you're stupid for thinking that, or how can you believe that? It's like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's fair. And this is how I feel, oh, okay. Well, great. I don't try to convince him. He doesn't try to convince me. We met when we were older. So we had a lot of experiences, and we knew what we wanted, what we didn't want, what was important, what was really important, I think. Yeah. And so I think finding that in each other has made everything else easier. The communication, and that was one of the things. We both needed someone that would communicate well. We both need, and these, at first you're like, well, I want someone that, is really cute and funny, makes me laugh, and has a good income, or whatever you're thinking when you're putting your, all that stuff. But then you realize, well, what really matters? Someone that's going to support me, someone that's going to see me on those mornings where I look like shit and tell me I'm beautiful, because he means it, because he's looking at what's inside of me, not what's on the outside.
When did that happen?
Oh, that wasn't you. Sorry. Damn it. But, just the things that really, truly matter, that are going to matter for the long haul. Yeah. And I think by the time we met, we already knew that those were the things that we needed to look for.
Yeah, we figured out our red lines, and we wouldn't accept anything beyond. If anything went over the red line, it was done. We actually were supposed to have met many, many times over. We found that we were in the same place at the same time.
And random places.
In very random places, and just walk right by each other without even realizing that we were supposed to meet, until technology came around and then forced us to meet. Oh, wow. Intriguing, huh? Yeah. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message to find out what they're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking like Greece, Athens, at the same event in the Olympics, like things like that.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so we were in Greece at the same time during the Olympics. We were also of all random places. We were at the Jacksons concert, the reunion tour in New York City, when they reunited after Michael Jackson made it huge. With the big robot that came out on stage, the whole thing, we were there at the same time.
And then, in fact, to prove that that's not coincidence, when we did finally start, dating, we went out to meet a bunch of my friends one night, and we met with them, and he knew them.
Not all of them,
but he knew like half of them already. Yeah. So we were supposed to meet.
So
there was just no stopping it.
Yep.
Over a period of time, how many years would you say were those like almost synchronistic potential meetups?
Decades.
Yeah, from 16 to...
Yeah, literally decades. Yeah.
Oh, and when I say we met up with my friends, we lived in different cities.
Right.
So my friends were all in Orlando, where I was, that knew him. So it wasn't even like, of course you're not going to run into, because you got to the same places. Yeah. That wasn't the case.
Right. Wow. Yeah, it's very uncanny. Yeah. And the reason why I say technology had to force us together, finally the universe was tired of putting us in the same place together, and they said, fine, here. And then so we actually met on Match.com.
Wow.
Back when it was like new, and you didn't tell people that, because you're a big loser if you had to go online to meet someone.
So every time I talk about this, I put it out there. Hey, Match.com, if you're watching or you're listening, we are a success story. We can make you a lot of money. So
20 years later, we're still together.
So when you guys do finally link up on Match, how long before you two get together, get married, have a daughter, all the things?
So we met, I guess, within maybe a week or two. Because we were, talking on the phone, because back people used to talk and not just text, which I prefer, by the way. But we were in different cities. So I think it took a couple weeks for us to get our schedules together where we could meet.
Yeah.
And that was in October?
Yes.
And when did you move in with me? In June?
Yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, I never wanted to get married. It was not on my plan. Didn't want it.
And she made that very well known.
Yes. And I would actually choose people subconsciously that I knew there's no way I'm going to marry this person because it was safe.
Yeah. That's what you know. Yeah.
And it wasn't just for talk, but she tried to break up with me like 1,000 times before,
so many times.
Yeah. So it was it was a real fun ride until she finally came along and I realized that she was supposed to be with me. For God's sake, stop it. So I tried to propose to her about 12 times, and every time we were going to go away somewhere to do so, she would cancel the dang trip on me at the last minute.
And meanwhile, so I have to be very, very honest. I met him, and within 2 weeks I'd have married him, and I never wanted to get married. It's so weird how they say when you know, but it's really, really true. And so after, I guess maybe a year in, I was like, all right, I'm, this age and I don't know if I want kids or not, but I want to have the option. I'm getting older and is this guy going to marry me? And I was never the one to say, hey, let's go look for rings, or like, I never even brought up marriage to him because I just never wanted to be that girl. Yeah. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, if this goes beyond 2 years, probably it's not going to be leading anywhere. And I'll just, break it up by that.
So she was just about to break up with me because I hadn't proposed to her when all the whole time she's canceling the damn ring.
And I was like, what the heck, dude? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you two get together after the universe is literally like doing its thing for like 2 decades.
Yes.
And then like the real work starts, right? Where I my sense is that Will maybe had the awakening first, and then everything kind of picks up from there.
I think what you're picking up is that Will had the woolly one, the holy crap one, whereas Karen, I think she was born awake. She's always known the stuff.
I've had experiences in my life, lots of experiences in my life, and so I've always known that this was, just figuring out my role in it has been.
Yeah, she's way better at hearing the universe talk to her. So the universe just has to whisper to her, hey, wake up, and she's awake. Me, it takes me a 2x4 to the head for me to finally hear what the universe is trying to say, and that's really what happened. I had the big bad bully awakening that almost
destroyed everything.
Yes, that's what she said.
What color was the 2x4? How did it show up? What was the lesson? Who was driving the 2x4? Say more, please.
Yeah, so it happened like for a lot of people when COVID hit and we were forced to look at ourselves in the mirror. Suddenly I realized I did not like who I was. I had a very deep, dark existential crisis. I saw myself for the first time, truly saw myself, and was devastated. I was very judgmental. I was very angry. I was very self-entitled. I was the typical television executive, that guy who everything in life came to super easy to him, but had to fight his entire life for what he was able to secure. But once he secured it, he expected the world to bow down to his every whim.
And that being said, I didn't marry a guy who was a jerk. It wasn't like, oh, he was like this, and I'm like, okay, I'm old, I'm not going to get anyone else. No,
I was like that to everybody else.
Yeah, it was different in our relationship, but then he started bringing some of this stuff into the relationship.
Yeah, things get to a head. You start facing these things, and things start heating up, and little by little, it gets worse and worse and worse, and suddenly you hit a breaking point, and I literally had a nervous breakdown. I just collapsed, and I pulled myself off of work for 8 weeks. I threw myself into a deep, deep dive into what the hell. Went to therapy. I was unbelievably lucky to find a therapist right off the bat. That was perfect for me. That not only was she perfect for me in terms of therapy, but she was perfect for me because she turned me on to meditation. Again, I should say, when I was in my 20s, I did a big search on this type of thing. My mother used to have all the Carlos Castaneda books when I was young, and one time I went to pick one up and started reading it. My mom had a fit because, no, you're not ready yet. So, of course, when I was in my 20s and on my own, suddenly, first thing I did was dive into those things. I read all the Castaneda books to see what the heck was I missing out on, because FOMO is real. And so I did a dive. I joined a coven of witches to experience what that was like. I learned to became a Reiki practitioner. I did all kinds of past life regressions and all this kind of stuff. Did a super deep dive into stuff because I really wanted to see what was going on with this stuff. But life got in the way. Forgot all about it. Comes along 2020. Have this unbelievably god awful realization that there's more to me than what I'm portraying. Thankfully, my therapist turned me back on to meditation. And because I was I hated who I was so much, meditation became an escape for me. I was able to not have to think about anything because it was constant in my mind. I was constant. You are a shit person. You are the worst person in the world. That's really what was going through my mind. Meditations allowed me to just not think about it. So it was a total escape. So I was able to drop in so fast and so deeply and for so long. I was meditating 3 times a day for 20 minutes at least each time, that it started opening up things to me. And suddenly I started realizing, like, oh crap, there's a lot more in here than what I've been talking about or thinking about. And so I started on my phone just recording things. I would read, that's when I picked up Conversations with God again, and I started reading it, and I would read a chapter in the book, and I would record my thoughts into my phone, and I started putting those up on a podcast as a way for me to send these out as affirmations into the universe. This is what I want to learn. This is what I want to be. This is all these kinds of things. And over time, those started getting so personal, and it started getting to be where it would have perhaps affected other people if I disclosed certain things. So I took everything down and started from scratch. I created the Skeptic Metaphysicians because it was singular at the time, because it was a way for me to have these conversations with people who had the answers. And so really it was a way for me to get the answers that I needed in my awakening, and put those out there as a podcast, again, as a way for me as an affirmation more than anything else. But little by little, the conversation started getting really incredibly eye-opening and inspiring. And there are times where we would have someone on that we knew, or I knew from back in the day, or we knew from back in the day, and she would come on as a co-host, and we would talk to them together. And then it just grew from there, because it was so much better when the two of us were together. It was so much better than when I was by myself. That then the show morphed into Skeptic Metaphysicians. And then since that time, I would say that she and I now have compared notes of our spiritual awakenings. And now we're finding that we are on a parallel path, but on different rungs of the path, if it makes sense.
Wow. It was almost kind of like your skill set from your past life in this incarnation of working in broadcast, and all of that seamlessly transitioned into what is now your podcast and your community, which is like the truest, almost like not most, but one of the most aligned acts of service that you're putting out into the world as a result of your own healing journey. I love that for you both.
You literally just brought tears to my eyes, because I've never thought of it that way, but you are 100% right. This is my way of giving back. You struck something when you said that just now. And now I don't remember it, so sorry.
Well, can I also just say too, like, it's, I work with a lot of women, and I might have said something similar on your show, but I don't oftentimes see men who give themselves the permission to go to this space and to feel their emotions, because, and this can be said for all and many, both genders, all genders, that, we almost shame ourselves and for not feeling our emotions, when it's like literally the most powerful thing to do, and it's like what we're designed to do, because oftentimes we see them as weakness, and that's not the case with you at all. And I think that's important to reflect back.
Well, thank you for that. But I will say, when I mentioned the 2x4, I don't think I had a choice. I don't think I had a choice. I'm very grateful. Let me just say, I'm extremely grateful. I've learned what I need to have learned, to never fall back, which is key for me. It's something I tell my daughter all the time. It's not the mistakes you make, it's how and if you learn from them. And I always encourage her never to make the same mistake twice. And
sometimes you have to really learn the lesson, because you forget.
Well, in a case like this, it was a conscious decision to follow the path and allow myself to live the life that I found was the right life for me. And I find that the more I dive into it, the more I realize that it's lot less about being out there and a lot more about coming in here. And coming in here means being in tune with what your feelings are and what your emotions, what your motivations are. And when you get in touch with what's in here, then all that's out there will meet you inside.
Yeah. So I want to ask, and I'm going to pivot to this question and ask you first, Karen, how like you play a role in being so open and supporting this, and what that looks like, especially being the watery, triple water sign, intuitive being that you are, and how you show up as a partner, but also what's coming next for the both of you. Because I'm looking at your chart, Will, and I also see obviously all of the really beautiful intuitive placements that you have in your chart, Karen. And I'm like, oh, you guys are going to have something in the career space come forth in the second half of 2026 per your chart. And I'm really curious if you guys have plans or what that looks like, or if you're interested in talking about that, or if you've, thought about what that could look like or want it to look like. But before we go there, Karen, how does a partner show up for something so heavy like that?
It was tough. Because at the time, so he was in that very kind of in his head mode, working 80 hours a week, proving himself, to his bosses, being there for everyone but the family. So at the time, I was trying to, take care of our daughter, take care of the household, take care of him. I was working also. And then when and there was, I'm not going to lie, there was resentment that got built up. And then when he had that total kind of crash, then I had to take care of him too. And that was hard because I was still a little upset, because of a lot of things that were going on. And it was tough. It was really tough. I think, we laugh and we talk about how COVID was one of the things that saved our marriage because I couldn't go anywhere. Not that I would have, but it was hard. And I can see where a lot of people might cut and run.
I don't think anyone would have blamed you if you had.
Yeah.
It was that 100%. That's what saved our marriage because of what I was going through.
Well, not 100%.
Well, you know what I'm saying. But because of what I was going through, I put her through a lot. Yeah. No question about it. And did I mention she's an angel on the planet?
Yeah. But I think I've always tried to look at the bigger picture. I don't know. We talk about soul contracts and decisions that were made, and I don't know necessarily, again, we have our differences in things that we believe and things we don't believe. And I don't know if just my path is so different. I don't even know kind of where I'm going here, but I think what I'm here for, I don't know that I'd necessarily have a specific soul contract. I'm going to be this person and this person. I think it was like, I'm here and however I'm needed, that's where I'll be. Yeah. And I think in a certain respect, he needed me to save him from himself. Yeah. And I think something deep down inside knew that. And I'm not saying I'm this selfless martyr by any stretch. I mean, he can tell you that. Mm-hmm. That's not he was saving me earlier today. But at that time, somehow inside, I guess I felt, or I knew that his crisis was more important. I needed to focus on that for now. Just like in every marriage, there's a give and a take. And, sometimes you're together. Sometimes one person needs raised to be lifted by the other one. It goes back and forth. Yeah. And in this part, he needed me to be there for him. So I needed to look at him as the soul, not as the husband who pissed me off, but as this struggling soul. And that helped me to really be able to be there to support him.
But she also had incredible faith. She had incredible faith that I would stick to what I was.
Well, because I knew who you were, I think even better than you knew who you were.
Oh, no question. I didn't know who the heck I was.
I mean, this was a good, 10, 12 years into our marriage. And so I had known, I could see you. I can really see you. And what you were showing me wasn't you. And I think being able to understand that, part of me thought, well, am I just being this, weak woman and stand by your man, that song, which I've never liked that song, but, cause I know what was going on when that song was happening. Mm-hmm. But, then I just realized it wasn't about being weak. It was about being strong enough to realize that it was the soul and not this exterior person, and to help that struggle. And I've never looked back. I've never regretted anything. I think that we have such a deep understanding of each other now, such a deep level of love, a level of forgiveness. We have the same hopes. We have this incredible daughter, incredible. And half of who she is him. So how can I not love and support and want the best for him, for her, and ultimately for us as a family?
You guys I'm like, oh, the cancer over here. I was like, gangster tear over here. Because I was like feeling into it. I was like, oh my God, like I can just see. But that's like, honestly, it really sounds like if you could overcome that and you did, like you can get through on anything. Yeah. So
without a doubt.
I mean, we've had health issues. I just got through cancer. We've had being laid off. I mean, every aspect of what can happen, when you're saying through rich or through poor, through sickness, through health, we've had it all.
I need to call something out here because she hasn't even said that on our show. She just revealed it to everyone on your show. She wouldn't let us talk about it on ours. So she is really feeling this.
Yeah, it's all the water energy around here. And I mean, you too. You have a Mercury in Cancer, which after we get off recording, because I don't like to talk too much about birth charts publicly, and that's just like me being like the secretive water sign that I am. That's like my other side, right? We'll talk about just like seeing things that I see, but like you also you feel like you can see with your Mercury in a water sign, you see more of others than maybe they see of themselves, and you can feel into it. So like we all have that watery energy going on in this conversation. I'm sure our audience members are picking up what we're putting down. But so tell us a little bit about where you see, your community, your podcast going, and tell us about the ethos. And, it's similar too, because you guys also have different voices in this spiritual space come on, and you really do keep an open mind. And I really appreciate that because if anything, you're also benefiting, as is your community, in the process of having the opportunity to expand their consciousness by just remaining open.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, we I don't want to repeat everything we said because I don't remember exactly what we said on our podcast earlier that we shared with you, but I guess your audience is a different one. We had decided to sunset Skeptic Metaphysicians because you know how much work it is. You got to find the guests, you got to do the editing and all this stuff. It takes hours and hours plus regular day jobs. It was taking our family time away, and that's one thing that when we moved and our daughter was in school, we were like, one of us will stay home. Whoever has the better job will work, and the other one will stay home because the family was that important. And we didn't want it to become this thing where maybe you have dinner together, maybe you don't. I didn't want that. He didn't want that. So we decided, okay, we need to, it's done. It's helped you through what you needed to get through. We've entertained some people. It's time to part ways. And so, the day we had made that decision, I'm like, well, let's just see if anyone's even listened to it. So I Googled it, and we didn't really know a whole lot. He knew more than I did, but we didn't really know a whole lot about podcasting and about all the reviews that people leave. And so we found on Apple Podcasts, I guess, it was a review section, and there were like page upon page of reviews. People had written paragraphs about our shows. I think on that first site, I think every review was a 5-star review.
Except for one.
Was that on? Okay. But like lots of, and we're reading these and we're like, what the heck? All we do is interview people. We're not special. It's the guests that are giving these incredible messages, but we're reading these and they're just people just being, appreciative and really kind. And then the last one we read, the last thing this guy said was, "Thank you for helping me feel normal." And I was like, that's it. We can't quit. We can't quit now. And so as the universe does, it put everything in your path. It brought Will some incredible editing software that cut his editing time down to about a third of what it was.
Nice.
So that we were still able to do everything we were doing and have our family life that we wanted.
And in typical Will form, I had that much more time on my hands, so let's
fill it.
Let's go even further. So we thought, if our show was helping that many people with just the one show, what if we brought a lot of shows together in this space under one roof? And Karen has a wonderful analogy of everyone's holding these little candles in the darkness. In the distance, you see all these little flickers of light, but they're all trying to get through that darkness, but they can't because it just has a little candle flame. However, if you brought all those little candles together, it would create this massive, beautiful beacon that would pierce through the night. And that is what we sought out to build. bring all these shows, all these little candles together to pierce the darkness by bringing together like-minded individuals, shows that were thinking like we were, that were trying to help to drive away fear and hatred, and all rode in the same direction with the interest of raising the consciousness of the planet together. We can't fail. And so we created NewReality TV.
And then we invited the people, that we had met through all these years with our podcast, the people that we knew were like-minded, that we knew had that love, and that would want to be involved, not for the money, but just for the mission, which is to bring so many different avenues for people to help find their way.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We have meditations. We have a Norse shaman. We have a Thai Buddhist monk. We've got
Reiki
channels, channelers, mediums. I mean, just so many. We've got
animal communicators.
Yes, I mean, all kinds of people and all kinds of such different modalities, because we know, some people might believe in, channeling, but they think Reiki is a bunch of hoo-ha, so they're not going to look at Reiki, but hey, they're fine channeling. Or even within the different modalities, we have multiple people, because even, maybe you're loving channeling, but you don't like this person, but hey, this one, their guides speak to you. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, we just want to help people find a way, because right now, good Lord, we need it.
Yeah.
We need it.
If there's one thing we learned during the last 5 years of doing our show, is that there might be one truth, but there's so many different paths to it that to say that the one path is the only path sounds pretty silly to me, right? I mean, when you look at everyone's thumbprint or snowflakes falling from the sky, not a single one is exactly the same. So how could our spiritual paths possibly be the same? All of us, right? We all have our own needs as individual souls. And as such, we need to be able to provide all the different paths of someone to find their one, instead of saying, this is the path. No, look at all these paths, see which one resonates with you and go down that one.
And we realize that all these different modalities, all these different paths, as different as they are, they're all speaking the same language. I mean, no, they're speaking different languages, saying the same thing.
Yes.
And it's all about love, and it's about community, and it's about, raising your vibrations. It's all the same, just said differently so that other people can understand it, so that everyone has something to resonate with as they go along their path.
Yeah, that's so true. Also, Will, are you sure you're not the reflector? And are you sure you're not the generator here?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Actually, when I read up on us, I thought that, I said that to Karen. I was like, wow, it's almost like we're swapped.
Yeah. Oh, and there's conscious and unconscious. So like you can be a generator, but you could also be an unconscious reflector, and you could be a reflector and an unconscious generator. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole that I feel human design readers could speak to.
Definitely resonates, because I feel like I've gone through my entire life being unconscious.
Well, you know what? I do think it's a gift to become conscious, no matter the age, and it seems like you two are really taking full advantage of that.
Thank you. She's calling us old?
Oh,
I think she's calling us old.
Here I'm thinking, you're like,
wise. There's a difference.
I think that might be worse.
We're like wine, right?
Don't
crack open the old wine cellar.
A wine gets better with time. Yeah.
True.
Okay. So as we wrap up, is there any final comments that you have that our audience would appreciate to hear? And where can everyone find you? We will, of course, have that in the show notes. And how can they work with your community, get more information about your mission, and all the things, as we like to say on the Spiritual Sisters?
Sure. Probably the easiest, fastest way is to go to skepticmetaphysiciansingular.com. It was only singular because that's when I first created it, but it's really, the show is plural, but the website is singular. So skepticmetaphysician.com. You can find out, you can subscribe to the show on there. It'll take you to wherever podcast platform you prefer, including if you want to watch the videos. We do have, NewReality TV has a 24-hour broadcast that is on. You can get to it through the Skeptic Metaphysician platform as well. If they're curious about NewReality TV and getting involved with that community, then it's just newrealitytv.com. Like I said, there's a broadcast there that you can just sit and watch whatever's being played out. Or if you prefer, you can dive into our on-demand side of things, where you can pick a show and just binge all the episodes of the show there. Or, we have documentaries that are super well produced. We have the whole gamut from just video podcasts like this to full blown production shows. It really depends on what is calling to you, because we found that a lot of folks are tired of the pomp and circumstance, and really what they're trying to access is authenticity, and that's what we're trying to bring forth, is that authenticity.
Yeah, well, you feel it, and you both embody it. And
thank you.
Yeah, I hope you both receive that compliment. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this episode, and also getting to know you two better over the course of this last week, where we've recorded together a couple times. And
likewise,
yeah, you two are welcome back anytime. And we'd like to
cool. What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah, okay. We like to kind of do this like a little annoying outro where we say bye together. So would you be interested in doing that with me as I count us down?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.